Baeli Madonna Mikamocha Nedal Bakodesh Lora Tehilo Osef Enleh Lora Tehilo Osef
Very spread out tonight. It's okay. You have to look all over the place. No, no, no. You certainly don't. This row, you guys are solid. Solid row. I like it. No, that works. True. Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
Welcome to Temple Israel. We are small but mighty tonight. We're glad you're here. And as I noted previously, a little bit spread out. So that just means that you're going to have to sing louder because you're not necessarily sitting next to people. So we're going to start with a song that is, it's actually typically a Purim song, and I know that it's almost Passover, but it is one of those songs that that has such a beautiful message. Actually, we sing it at Havdalah as well. The words are on page 336. So it's from the end of the Purim story in the book of Esther, and the words just mean the Jews had light, joy, gladness, and honor. So we've sung it once or twice before, but it's pretty easy to catch on to. LaYehudim hayta ora v'simcha v'sason v'ikar. Try it if you can. LaYehudim hayta ora v'simcha v'sason v'ikar. Ken tiyeh lanu. Ken tiyeh lanu. LaYehudim hayta ora v'simcha v'sason v'ikar. LaYehudim hayta ora v'simcha v'sason v'ikar. We're going to come back to that later, so you'll be given another opportunity. So every time that we start our Shabbat services together, we have the opportunity to do those blessings that often people do at home, which is light our Shabbat candles and say Kiddush and Motzi. And I will tell you that actually most weeks we seem to have a B'nai Mitzvah family who is here helping us, but because it's almost Passover, no one wanted to have their bar mitzvah this week, which is actually very exciting for us because it means that we have a Saturday without a B'nai Mitzvah. But fortunately, Ari has been really practicing the blessings since her brother's bar mitzvah, so she's going to help us. Ari, will you come on up, my friend? Rabbi Michael and I will help you, but I know you got this.
Pro.
So the blessings are on page 2. All right, you help with the lighting. All right, Rabbi Michael's going to be in charge of the lighter.
Okay.
Oh, it's okay. We'll do it together. Do you like to say it or sing it? Sing it? Okay. Well, should we say it? Is that easier? Okay. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam osher kidshanu b'mitzvotav V'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat. Beautiful, awesome. Right, you want to hold the big cup? Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. It's apple juice.
L'chaim.
All right, if you open that up, it's our last Shabbat challah, since next week we'll have matzah. Awesome. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Awesome. Do you want to take a bite of it? Nicely done. Thank you so much for helping. So every time we celebrate Shabbat together, we feel as if we are welcoming angels into our midst, and sometimes we are. And the way that we welcome them in is with the words of Shalom Aleichem, which can be found on page 24. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Asharet, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem Leshalom, Malachei Ashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu Ani Leshalom, Malachei Ashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Zeidchem Leshalom, Malachei Ashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. On page 29, there is one who sings the song of his own life, finding everything within himself. There is one who leaves the circle of herself and sings the song of her people. There is one whose voice rings with the song of humanity, hoping for the highest perfection. And there is one who rises even higher, uniting with all creatures, with all worlds, filling the universe with song. Nevarach, let us bless, and we join together on page 28 and rise as we call each other to worship. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. HaMevorach, HaMevorach, Le'olam va'ed. HaMevorach, HaMevorach, Le'olam va'ed. We read together on the bottom of 31. This is an hour of change. Within it we stand uncertain on the border of light. Shall we draw back or cross over? Where shall our hearts turn? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? This is the hour of change, and within it we stand quietly on the border of light. What lies before us? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv aravim. On 33, as you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me. Did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery. Baruch atah Adonai Ohev Amo Yisrael. And we join in Shema on page 34. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto La'olam va'ed. Please be seated. Ve'ahavtam et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. On 39, standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, and that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. And so we sing the song that we will talk about in just a few days as we talk about the Jews and the Israelites and their redemption from Egypt, the words of the Micha Mocha on page 40. Micha Mocha, Bailim Adonai, Micha Mocha, Nedar Bakodesh, Norat Filot, Osei Felem, Norat Filot, Osei Felem, Micha Mocha, Bailim Adonai, Micha Mocha, Nedar Bakodesh. The words of Micha Mocha remind us that God gave us the gift of freedom, but with that gift of freedom, we still needed protection wherever it was that freedom took us. So we follow the words of Micha Mocha on page 42 with Hashkivenu, asking God to spread a sukkah, a shelter of peace over us wherever we may go. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, l'shalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim, ufros aleinu sukkot shlomecha, ufros aleinu sukkot shlomecha. Amen. Shelter us beneath thy wings, O Adonai. Guard us from all harmful things, O Adonai. Keep us safe throughout the night, till we wake with morning's light. Teach us, God, wrong from right. Amen. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, l'shalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. So we turn now to page 46, and I ask you, if you will, to please rise, and we'll join together in words of tefillah. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi agita ilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avoteinu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Eloi Sarah, Eloi Rivka, Eloi Rachel, Eloi Leah. Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor V'Hanora, Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'zocher Chasei Avot V'Imot, U'mevii Geula Livnei B'neihem, Le'ma'an Shemo Ba'ava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Vezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh HaKol Atah Rav Lehoshia, Mechakel Chayim B'Chesed, Mechayeh HaKol B'Rachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim V'Ofech Olim, U'Matzir Asurim, U'Mekayem Emunato, Lishanei Afar, Mi Chamocha Ba'al Gevurot, U'Mido Melech, Melech Meimit U'Mechayeh, U'Matzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'aman Atah Lechayot HaKol, Baruch Atah Adonai, Mechayeh HaKol, Atah Kadosh V'Shimcha Kadosh, U'Kadoshim B'chol Yom Yalelucha Selah, Baruch Atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. Please be seated. We continue on the top of page 55.
May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise.
Baruch Atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. It was just last Shabbat, actually, that many of us were in our homes and looking at the news out of Israel. And while we are so incredibly grateful that there was very little damage in Israel, we are just reminded that this is a time when we are praying for peace now more than ever. Each week you come to Shabbat services and you see the talit that's placed on that chair, which we are leaving there until we know that the hostages have been returned. But so too we come just praying for peace for everyone in the land of Israel, hoping that we are all able to say at the end of Passover, Shana Haba'ah B'Yerushalayim, next year may we be in Jerusalem, and then indeed it is true. So we offer in English on the top of page 61 a prayer for peace, and I'll invite you to join with me. Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of every land. Plant virtue in every soul, and may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Baruch Atah Adonai, Hamavarech et Amo Yisrael, Shalom. This point in our service, we turn all the way to page 253. Because at this time, we always take a few moments and think of those within our own communities, our own circle of family and friends who are in need of healing prayers. So if there's someone who you're thinking of who could use some healing and who would appreciate knowing that their names were shared here, I would invite you to share them at this time. We're thinking too tonight of Arlene Alper, of Eric Ash, of Moshe Aaron ben Leah Bela, of Chana bat Rochelle Reza HaKohen, of Cindy, of Carl Greenberg and Nathan Levinson, of Kalanitz Meira bat Sarah, of Drew Patchen and David Shuval, of Harriet Snyder and Lacey Weinstein. So thinking of all of them and thinking of those who we are keeping in our hearts We join on 253 in the words of the Misha Berach. Misha Berach Avotenu Mekor HaBaracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Misha Berach Imotenu Mekor HaBaracha Lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirits, and let us say Amen. Ose shalom bimroma, ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. Ose shalom bimromav, ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. Ose shalom bimromav, ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen.
A few weeks ago, I saw at the front of Schnucks, things begin to change. And I wanted to address that tonight because all of the good Coca-Cola that you can get that's made from cane sugar is out right now and doesn't have corn in it, and it's got the yellow bottle caps on it. So I highly suggest to go and get that while you can. Shabbat Shalom. The holiday that is coming up. There's my Haggadah. There we go. The holiday that is coming up requires that we read an amazing book. And especially if the food doesn't come out on time, it depends on how much attention you're ready to give. That book is actually quite a fascinating book. But I also just want to acknowledge that as we go into any holiday time, it is not necessarily, while it is supposed to be a celebration, very easy as we gather around the table. We get to be with each other. We get to say the Haggadah. We get to recount all of these events. But we also notice, as we're gathered together for the holiday, the chairs that are empty, the things that used to be that no longer are. And those things weigh heavily on us when we sit down when we open up the Haggadah year after year and study this story and read it. There's a part of the Passover Haggadah that has always puzzled me. And as a little kid, I really liked it, but I didn't fully understand. The Seder night starts with a very unusual, although albeit, I think honestly, very Jewish invitation, which is called halach ma'anya. It's Aramaic, right, Rabbi Shuk? It's Aramaic? Okay, I got to confirm. Halach ma'anya. As we begin our meal, we say this out loud. Halach ma'anya, diachalu avatahana ba'ara di Mitzrayim. This is the bread of affliction our ancestors ate in the land of Egypt. We hold up the piece of matzah, and I, as a little kid, would run out the door and yell down the hallway, "Let all who are hungry come and eat. Let all who are in need come and join us for Pesach." But I have to say, having grown a bit and looking back on it and not getting to run to the door, it's a bit weird. This is our bread of affliction. Let's all sit down together and eat it. What kind of hospitality is that? To offer somebody else, come and sit and share my afflictions. Let us do this. It's pretty weird. And equally weird is the fact that at the beginning of the Seder, we call the matzah the bread of affliction, lach ma'anya, but towards the end, the name changes. We call it something very different altogether. That's what I want to focus on tonight. At the end of the Seder, we say hamotzi, the blessing we all know over bread. And we say about matzah this. This is the matzah that we eat. What does it recall? It recalls the dough of our ancestors, which didn't have time to rise. Before the Holy One, blessed be He, revealed Himself and redeemed all of them and took them out of Egypt. The bread of affliction becomes the bread of freedom in a very, very short span of time. So which one is it? Is matzah the bread of affliction that our ancestors had in Egypt, like it says in halach ma'anya? Or is it the bread of freedom that our ancestors ate as they were schlepping out and taking all their things with them, but in a hurry, too fast to cook any of it? So those questions combined really bothered me for a long time. How does lach ma'anya really become the bread of freedom? And I remember a story that I was told while growing up, and it really, I think, answers this question that I've been struggling with. And the story is about a man from the old country who wanted to know, what is it like in heaven? And what's it like down in the other place? And he called out to God and said, God, it wouldn't bother you, maybe I could have this one request granted. Can you show me what's going on, down in the hot spot? And also, I'm really struggling. I feel really alone right now. And I'm wondering what's up there? What's in heaven? And so, in stories like this, prayers get answered. And the prayer is answered, first with a descent into hell, which I think is always fun for a story. And so our friend from the old country descends into hell. And in hell, there's a well-lit, beautiful room. And it has all kinds of wonderful people gathered around. And they're seated at a table. And in front of them is the most delicious food. And playing in the background is the most beautiful music. But all of the people in this place have no elbows. And so, when they go to get something from the salad bar, or a nice juicy piece of steak that they see sitting on the table. There's no possible way that they can get it in their mouth. And so over this scene is the sound of an untold amount of people sitting all together at this table, wailing and weeping because they can't get anything into their mouths, and they're starving. Okay, enough. I've seen enough. I'd like to see what else there is on the offering. Can you take me, said our old countryman, to the place up there? I like to see what it's like. And God, who in this story grants requests, indulged, and brought him up to heaven. And he found himself in a very similar room. And as he looked around, he saw grandparents, great-grandparents. He heard the same beautiful music. The table was set with all kinds of delicacies. And there, too, nobody had elbows. But in that place that he understood and was told was heaven, all of the people were serving one another. Nobody went hungry. Nobody longed for anything that was right in front of them that they could not have. And he said, okay, take me back. I think I'm ready to start and prepare for Passover. And I think this explains the Seder service. Here is the bread of affliction, eaten in slavery. We begin. But when we invite others to share, our oppression, our loneliness, our mourning, our suffering, our being in exile, our experience, our real experience of what it's like to be in Egypt. We have to invite others to share that little that we have. And when we do, we create memories that last with us for a lifetime. And we turn the bread of affliction, our affliction, into the bread that liberates us, because we are together, questioning everything, being wicked, being wise, being simple, not even knowing anything at all, but being there all together to work it out. To be free, you have to care for somebody else's freedom as well as your own. And this Pesach, I want you also to remember that in order to be free as well, you have to care for somebody else's affliction as much as your own. May the lachma anya, may the bread of affliction become in very short time as you gather together with those who strengthen you and with those you can strengthen, the bread of freedom. Shabbat Shalom.
We'll ask you now, if you will, to please rise, and we will turn to page 282.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'Adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל עמונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים,
HaKadosh Baruch Hu. On 287, may we gain wisdom in our lives, overflowing like a river with understanding, loved each of us for the peace we bring to others. May our deeds exceed our speech, and may we never lift up our hand, but to conquer fear and doubt and despair. Rise up like the sun, O God, over all humanity. Cause light to go forth over all the lands between the seas, and light up the universe with the joy of wholeness, of freedom, and of peace.
V'nemar v'haya Adonai l'melech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad.
On the top of page 289.
In nature's ebb and flow, God's eternal law abides. When tears dim our vision or grief clouds our understanding, we often lose sight of God's eternal plan. Yet we know that growth and decay, life and death, all reveal a divine purpose. God, who is our support in the struggles of life, is also our hope in death. We have said, God before us, and shall not despair. In God's hands are the souls of all the living and the spirits of all flesh. Under God's protection we abide, and by God's love are we comforted. Life of our life, soul of our soul, cause your light to shine into our hearts and fill our spirits with an abiding trust in you.
This has been a hard week for our community, and so we recall with love the names of those taken from us in recent days, and our hearts go out to their families in sympathy as we recall their names: Geraldine Jerry Becker, Eliza Hakimian, Scott Ramft, Richard Adam Rolnick, and Jill Silverstein. We now recall the names of those the anniversary of whose death occurs on this Shabbat and whose names have been inscribed in the archives of our congregation or on the wall of honor for perpetual memorial: Harry Alschuler, Della B. Berger, Samuel Berliner, Ralph Bloomberg, Bernard Blumenfeld, Morton Brand, Oliver Braun, Eli Cohen, Arthur A. Epstein, Richard I. Ferrer, Harold Fishman, Max Fox, Teresa Fremder, Virginia Freund, Audrey Glavinsky, Sybil Goldfarb, Cecilia Goldman, Louis S. Goldman, Jane Freund Harris, David Nevin Jacobson, Raphael Ralph Kalish, William Katz, Abe Kahane, Jacob E. Lasky, Jeanette F. Lieberman, Sam Minnis, George W. Milius, Dorothy Molaski, Joan Knackman, Dr. Lester Nathan, Anna Neumetzger, Isidore Pass, Rose Putterman, Nathan George Rockman, Louis J. Ross, Leo L. Rostenberg, Sidney Salinger, Marvin Schmidt, Lori R. Schanfeld, Francis Schenker, May Siegel, Celia Siegfried, Ruth Sobel, Helen Evraith Soffer, Stanley D. Victor, Estelle Washauer, Jacob Wasserman, Jonas Wheel II, Audrey S. Weissman, and Eva Wild. So with those names and the names we keep in our hearts, we turn to the words of the Mourner's Kaddish on page 294.
Yitkadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabbah, ba'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayachon u'vyomechon u'v'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'vizman kariv v'emuru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach la'alam olmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekudesha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechamata da'amiran ba'alma v'emru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'emru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'emru amen. May the source of peace and peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved. We say, amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imeru Amen.
Please be seated. So as Rabbi Michael shared, this is, of course, the week leading up to Pesach. And if you look in your little leaflets, you can see all of the various Passover activities that are happening here at Temple Israel. But we thought we would take just a brief moment because every year on Passover, this is the time of year where the rabbis get more calls than any other time of year asking certain things about Passover. So we thought that we would just answer them now, and we'll answer them for the people watching at home as well, so that you can still call us if you want to, but at least we can get these two out of the way. So the two questions are, how long does it last, and what can we eat? So the answer of how long it lasts is in Reform Judaism, we keep the same length of Passover that they keep in the Torah. That is 7 days. So that means for us, we are going to begin Passover Monday night, and we will end it Monday during the day with our Yizkor service. Everyone is invited to come to the Yizkor service. It is a beautiful memorial service that we have here, similar to the one that we do on Yom Kippur, but a much, much smaller and more intimate scale. You are more than welcome to come to that. And you probably heard me say, but the Rabbi Shuk rule is that if you come to Yizkor, that is when you get to end Passover. If you don't come to Yizkor, you have to wait until that night. So just saying it's worth it. Okay, so answer number 1, 7 days. The next question is, what do we eat? And Rabbi, tell us again about that Coca-Cola with the yellow caps, why we have that. It is, I don't even drink Coke, and it's really delicious. Why do we have to have special kosher for Passover Coca-Cola?
Because corn pops?
Yes, indeed. Corn is one of the foods that we are told.
Don't say that in Illinois, but I'm...
No, well, it's true. So as we know, you're not supposed to eat things with leavening in them. So that's bread and pasta and stuff like that. But over the years, there have also been foods that, of course, they didn't have when the Torah was written. They did not have corn back then. But one of the foods that they talked about was corn. And because corn pops or expands, there are some people who believe that you should not have anything that has corn products in it, which means corn syrup, which, as you know, is in everything. So now there was a ruling a few years ago that said that actually you can have corn. So you have to decide whether or not that is something you are supposed to follow. Same thing with rice. Sephardi Jews have always said that they can eat rice. There was also another ruling.
You might want to become Sephardic.
Exactly. There was another ruling a few years ago that also said that you can eat rice. But I would say that if you are trying to keep Passover, perhaps for the first time, that you could start by sticking with bread and noodles and see how far it takes you. We also got some advice a long time ago from, what do you call a stomach doctor?
Gastroenterologist.
Thank you. From some gastroenterologists.
I'll take other doctors for 1,000 hours.
Who said, do not eat too much matzah because, in fact, it is the bread of affliction, even though it becomes the bread of freedom.
It will afflict you.
And it will make you sick, and you
easy.
should not make yourself ill by trying to have a joyous Passover.
By sharing it.
Any other questions you have about Passover? Again, you are more than welcome to ask us.
Beer is prohibited. I'm sorry.
Beer is prohibited.
I'm sorry.
Yeast, yes.
Yes.
But also, if you go into the Temple Israel website, there are a number of different videos that we have made that also answer some of those very pressing questions. For anything else, feel free to come to any of our Passover activities coming up. We would love to have you there. And we are going to close. Oh, who's it? Yes. Sorry, I lost my little thing. So we do want to call it in particular. Tonight is our last call. If you want to come to the second night Seder, which is on Tuesday, this is for adults only, or if you are older teenagers and you are coming with a responsible adult, that is also fine. But so we would love to have people there who want to join us at that. And then there is also a family chocolate Seder on Sunday that anyone who has, it could really be anyone who likes chocolate, quite honestly. But it's just for the kids, let's be honest. It is geared towards children.
It's for the kids.
So you're more than welcome to join us at either of those, or again, next Shabbat, we will be talking about Passover one more time and having matzah.
Amen.
So we are going to conclude on page 336, back where we began, and we're going to try La Yehudim, just to try and remind ourselves that just as we do on Purim, just as we do at Havdalah, that we should enjoy light and gladness, honor and joy.
Just for a second, I just wanted to say, I thought you were going to ask me to give away the secret formula for a second.
Do you know the secret formula?
Shh.
La Yehudim, Hayta Ora, Hayta Ora. הייתה אורה, ושמחה וששון.